Yeah, this is very. We're on page 227. We're starting a new ma'amar today. Leiv HaChesed. Hey, Benjamin. Page 225, 227. Leiv HaChesed. What is the heart of Chesed? What is Chesed really about? That's it. Shlomo's going to dive us into this. And he dives in a very interesting way. Shlomo takes us straight into the concept of Mashiach. Amar Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh, Kedei sheHaMashiach yavo. In order for Mashiach to come, tzarich kol echad liyot Mashiach katan. Each of us has to become a little Mashiach. Each of us has to become a little Mashiach. So Shlomo, with this one line, he's already telling you what is Chesed. It's like being somebody's Messiah. Like there is anybody out there, Can anybody hear me? And so on, Hello. Tell me, can you hear me? That's, come up. It's and we don't realize this, we don't realize how big of a deal. We're all waiting for somebody else to come be there for us. We don't realize we can become, we can be Mamish Mashiach Katan, he calls it. Kolomar, that is to say, if you're ready to really do everything for somebody else. You're ready to be a little Mashiach. Az yavo Mashiach Gadol. Then there's going to come a really great Mashiach, a big Mashiach. Im ein lecha koach liyot Mashiach katan, l'tzari, if you don't have the koach to be a small Mashiach, then l'tzari, sorry to say, so this whole learning is to open our own hearts up, like we're all closed up, waiting for the knight in shining armor to show up and serve everything, fix everything for me. Saying, you've got to open up and be there for others, and if you're not, then could be you're holding things back. Mamish. Now this does not, it may sound like that it means that you have to do everything all the time for others. I just want to say for a second the story about Judy and Moish, Lili Nishmas Moish, that one time Moish came over here with this apartment, or was the other one? The other one in Rabbi Estate, the little apartment. He came in, and you see the story works because he came in and he said to Judy, and Judy was about to go. Was it for the sake of this apartment? For the, you tell, yeah. But speak loud though.
Okay, I'll speak loudly. Yes, we were living in this area for several years, and we were looking for an apartment, a house. And somebody told me that there's somebody in the shuk who knows every nook and cranny of Nachlaot, and he will help you. So I made an appointment with him for 1:15 on a Wednesday. So I was already so anxious about being there. I went early, but they told me that I have to come back because he's not going to be there until 1:15. Fine. So I went home. It was just on another street down. And I was opening the door to leave when a friend of ours said, Judy, I have a very important meeting and I didn't sleep all night. I need a cup of coffee. Shlomo always used to say, you're going to save my life. Okay. So I said, but Moish, I have to be somewhere at 1:15 and it's really important for me to do. He said, I don't care, but I need a cup of coffee. So I said, okay, so let's compromise. I'll put the water in the kettle and turn it on. And here's the cup, and here's the coffee, and here's the key. Then after you're finished, just hide the key. And I showed him where. He said, okay. So I left. And I went maybe, I don't know, 15 steps, 20 steps from the house. And I heard this terrific boom. It was a bomb in the shuk. And I just kind of froze. I thought, am I supposed to go toward there or go back? Finally, I decided after, I don't know how long, that I went back to the house, and about 15 or so minutes later, I called the man and he said, don't come here, don't come here. Everything happened here. I would have been at that exact spot if I would have gone the right time. So,
Well,
yeah.
but the reason I'm choosing this story specifically, there's so many amazing stories, and it's such an awesome story, is first of all that Moshe knew to come to you. He needed a coffee, could have gone anywhere.
Yeah.
And secondly, that you it doesn't mean that you decided, okay, forget the meeting, forget about my interests, I'm just only going to do for Moshe. You found a middle thing that you were doing for him, and you're also taking care of yourself, that's also important. Like Shlomo's not saying to be a Mashiach, you have to like let go of your whole self. And yeah,
when Shlomo needed a cup of water, we would give it to him, and he would say, "Oh, you saved my life." But he was saving our life by enabling him to have that, to give him that cup of water.
Mamish.
Thanks, Judy. I actually thought of that. I remember that story from the Shiva, and I was going to mention it when Leibish said, "Be a little Mashiach." I was like, "Oh,
Really?
Judy,
You were
did that?"
thinking
Then
exactly of that
I was
story?
thinking that. I'll save it for the
way.
end. I'll save it for the end. I don't need to share.
Unbelievable.
This is getting better.
Unbelievable. Okay, the sheer
Stuck in my mind forever. Thank you, Judy. So,
Well,
What year? Sure,
yeah.
but it is written in the story of another person who was in the shuk, and it's written down. I'll have to look. Maybe 2003. I'm not sure. I really don't remember.
Around then. So Shlomo says, next paragraph, Anachnu mechakim shemashiach yavo. We're all waiting for something to happen out there, for Mashiach to come outside, right? Bo nishtadel lihiyot kol echad Mashiach katan. So this is a huge thing to realize what chesed is, and he's going to really give over to us the hugeness, the giganticness of when it's really chesed. And he's going to be defining for us depths upon depths of what chesed really is, what chesed really is, and when it's mamish chesed, a person really feels geula based on your being there for them, right? I'll just take a second and read for you a story from the Talmud. You may have heard the story before. This is Ta'anit Daf Chaf Bet Amud Aleph. That Rabbi Broka Choza'a, Rabbi Broka was one of the Amoraim. Havashchiach Beshuka de Beit Lefet. He was in a certain shuk that he would often spend time there. And this Rabbi Broka was a very special individual because Havashchiach Eliyahu Gabei, Eliyahu Navi would meet with him often, would spend time with him a lot. So one time he was in that shuk and Eliyahu showed up. And he asked him, Ika Bahai Shuka Bar Amad Asi, is there anyone in this shuk that is Ben Olam Haba, that is like already like living in Olam Haba? And he showed him this one person who dressed totally in a way that was non-identifiable as Jewish, because he would hide with the non-Jews, and he would hear if there was a decree against the Jews and stop it. And then he noticed these two people walking. He said, Hanach nami bnei Amad Asi. Those two guys, they're also bnei Olam Haba. And so Rabbi Broka went over to them and asked them, like, who are you? Azal Gabayu Amar Lahu Mayav Daichu Amar Lahu Anshe Beduchi Anan. We are chokers. We are beduche. That's Aramaic for anashim, pranksters, clowns, comedians. We this is what we do. Mevadchinan atzivi. What do? We go around making sad people happy. Unbelievable. You go around making sad people happy.
Yeah.
Inami, they say, ki havina beitrei, the isle chika. Also, if we see two people in a fight, we work on it. Tachina vavdina lahu shlama. We make peace between them. But this idea of bringing simcha, this of Shlomo says now next. Im ata ro'eh adam atzuv v'ata mesameach oto, ata mashiach katan. You're a little mashiach. If you can cheer somebody up. And then he says, Rabbi Nachman Omer, shekedei l'sameach mishahu, in order to cheer someone up, mutar afilu l'saper bdicha shel shtut. You're allowed to make a completely ridiculous joke, like meshugana joke, in order to cheer someone up. In order to cheer someone up. Sometimes, like, you need to know, there are like lots of stories. And I have a story, a specific story about it, but sometimes, like, specifically, like, there's certain points in the davening where you're really not supposed to talk, really shouldn't talk at all in shul. But if you see somebody who's like really not in a good place, and you come in and you make the right comment, but right when you're not supposed to, and they realize that you're breaking the rules because you care about them, then you can turn somebody's whole thing around, mamish. Sometimes even, I once told this story before here. It's been a while since I told this story. The Rabbi Meir Abasera. It's the Torah again, Elena. Rabbi Meir was an amazing man, very, very perceptive person. And one of his amazing things was his timing. And one time, there was this friend of his that he knew who became fabulously wealthy overnight, became extremely rich, like overnight. And they were going to visit him. And the guy was living in the penthouse of a hotel, like the top floor of a hotel. And it's one of these things where the elevator opens and you're in the penthouse. So like the elevator opens and Rabbi Meir jumps out, clobbers the guy to the floor and starts pounding him. Mamish beating him up. Everyone's like, what are you doing? Let him go. And the guy on the floor is like, no, don't stop. What happened? This guy became a multi-millionaire. And suddenly, all of his relationships became weird. His relationships became weird because everybody's like, can I borrow $20,000? Everything became weird. And people were treating him too respectfully. And Rabbi Meir saw, and if he would have hesitated like a second, he would have missed his chance. But Rabbi Meir, if you remember him, he knew how to pounce. He would just... He knew how to pounce. And you have to have like a real perception of like when some of the biggest tzaddikim, like, and some of your best friends, they just went to like body check you. We just went to like, just break you out of your stuck place. Bring in some light. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. It's rare. I'm not saying that you can't get to sheer and I learned beat up your friends. Sometimes, rarely, but sometimes like they need it. Sometimes like in that particular situation, you understand the thing. The guy became so rich, and everybody's being so nice to him. Yeah. He like lost his sense of self. But it happens to be people win the lottery. It's a very difficult. It's actually difficult. It's good, but it's difficult. So he needed like a good punch to feel like just one of the guys again, to just feel like a regular person. Like he had become too ivory towered, whatever, too separated. Guyver and whatever. And Guyvery.
It's a liberty.
Up in the Guyver tower. Yes. When you did something like that kind of a thing that really lifts them up. Lo rak asita lo tova. It's not just you did them a favor. You're bringing like geula to the whole world. This, by the way, in the Shemona Esrei, I don't have the right. Oh, maybe I do have Masechta. In Masechet Megillah, they're talking about the different brachas of the Shemona Esrei, and you have the seventh bracha is the bracha of geula, Goel Yisrael, right? And Rashi says, Afal gav the high geula, lav geula the galusu. That bracha of geula is not the bracha. It's Goel Yisrael. It's not the bracha of of Mashiach, of Shehu Yigalu Tanu. That's Tzemach David and Boni Yerushalyim. That's later in the Shemona Esrei. Go El Yisrael, Rashi says, Sheyigal enu min atzarot habaot alenu tamid. We all need lots of mini geulas along the way. You know, we need lots of mini geulas along the way. You know, it's like I'm so thirsty, I need a drink on the way to the bar. You know, till I get there, to hold me over until I get there, I need a drink. There's until Mashiach comes, we need little geulas. We need lots of little geulas. That's right.
Reminds me of how they hand out drinks by the marathon runners. Like they're helping hydrate them on the way.
Right.
It's not like all one.
Not a stop.
It's not like all one process and then all one go. It's like you need to hydrate en route to be able to stay in the race. Literally.
Mamish, need to hydrate en route. Mamish. That's the thing. Right? Yeah. And also the Navi says, Ki besimcha teitseu, uveshalom tuvalun. Besimcha teitseu. That simcha is something that helps you get out of that stuckness, when you can laugh, when you can get wrestled to the ground, when whatever it is, then you can get out. You can get out. And the main thing Reb Shlomo is talking about is to have your antennas up for how to find that. Is one of the most incredible, most spiritual, most holiest things in the world is knowing how to be appropriate. Not how to have manners, how to be appropriate. Real appropriate. The real mamish, to be appropriate. It's so deep, it's mamish, like something to really daven for. That Hashem should help you to say the right word at the right time, you know, give the right elbow at the right time, whatever it is, the right joke, the right thing, the phone call for the birthday, for the whatever, for the right, not a birthday. If someone would call people and say, I'm calling you for no reason, just calling you, just calling to say hi, right? So now he gets into the next page. He makes his first distinction. He's going to make two distinctions that we're going to see. One between Moshe and Aaron, which we're going to see now, and then another one later on. So he says, Yesh shnei minei kedushas, two types of holiness. Kedusha achatia, kedusha shel Moshe Rabbeinu. One type of holiness is the holiness of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu melamed eich liot eter kadosh, eter kadosh, eter kadosh. Rabbeinu is just lifting me up into the heights of holiness. Hakdusha hashniya hi shel Aaron HaKohen. We're going to see soon a Zohar about this. The second holiness is the one of Aaron HaKohen. Aaron HaKohen melamedati eich levater al hakdusha sheli. How to, how do you say levater in English?
Like compromise on.
Compromise, yeah. How to compromise on my holiness, bishvil adam acher, for the sake of someone else. Right? How to go against everything that I should be doing because somebody needs me. Gewalt eze kedusha. That's also an unbelievable kedusha. I'm like, Al Kohanim, Chaim Chaim.
You gave the example a few months ago about sometimes, you have to be at shul for shacharit. But what about when your wife is screaming, right, when you're leaving, and say, I really need you here, So it's
yes, mamish, to be so aware. We have like a system, the system of Judaism, that we do this at certain times. There's shacharit, mincha, mariv, and there's time when you have a chavruta, or you're learning or whatever. But if somebody really needs you, and I'll tell you from my own experience, when you listen to that, when you and this is something that most drew me to one of my biggest teachers from Montreal, Rabbi Aaron Tabak. I said about him, I was so excited about him because I found he was the most interruptible person I ever met. Like, there's something so beautiful about a person who, whatever they're doing, but people are more important. They always put people first. It's like such an amazing thing. It's so easy to get stuck in the project. I'm trying to achieve this. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to go there. I'm trying to whatever. To truly put people first, to mamish, let them interrupt you, to let them in. It's such a. So I found in my own experience that the Torah like we say in Eshet Chayil, Torah Chesed al Lashona, the Torah of Chesed is on her tongue about the Eshet Chayil. The Torah of Chesed, to me, like when I'm there for my wife or my kids or somebody else who needs me, and I miss, if it's a chavruta or a minyan or something that I'm supposed to officially systematically be doing, I find that when I then go back to it, like let's say I need an hour or two to prepare for a shiur, and somebody calls me, that happened to me on Thursday. I prepared way less for the Purim shiur than usual because there were a few people who, whatever it was, but then there's bracha. Then like in the 10 minutes I have, Hashem just, I've experienced it almost every time. Like it's when you compromise for the sake of chesed, then you get Torah chesed. You get Torah chesed. Because I think also because deep down, I feel better about myself. Like I also feel it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. I feel better myself. I see myself loving people and helping people. So I give myself more permission. My mind is more open to really learn Torah because I feel a bit better about who I am. It's also part of it. Like it's also part of it. So Reb Shlomo is bringing this about so he gives an example how the Kohanim mevatrim. Ala Kohanim ne'emar lenefesh lo yitama b'mav. The Kohen has a special rule of kedusha; they're not allowed to come in contact with people who've passed away. Perish Rashi yatsa meit mitzvah. But if there's a meit mitzvah, if there's somebody who's passed away and no one to take care of them, that is to say, klomar Kohen v'chuyav likabor met. Then the Kohen does have to go against his whole official thing of never becoming tamei. If there's nobody else to do it, then he does it. Aaron Cohen is saying, I'm not allowed to become tamei. But if somebody needs me, I'm ready to do everything for them. Okay? So on this, I just want to bring for you a Zohar, Chaim, and Chaim to my friend Rabbi Shlomo Katz, who I contacted. I had a feeling he would know where it was in the Zohar, and he like wrote me back within like 30 seconds. Wow. There's a Zohar and Vayikra Daf Chaf Amud Aleph says the Zohar, Amru Mari Matnitim, the teachers of the Mishnah have taught, Moshe Shoshvina de Malka. Moshe is called, you know how at a wedding you have the person or the people who walk the chasan to the chuppah and the people who walk the kala. It's called Shoshvinim. Shoshvina, it's called in Aramaic in the Zohar. So Moshe is the one who, so to speak, walks Hashem to Har Sinai, and Aaron walks Am Yisrael, right? Shoshvina de Matronisa, it's called. Matronisa is like the word for the female, the Shechina of Am Yisrael. And in the Sfirot, they say that Shoshvina de Malka da Tiferet. In the Sfirot, you have, yeah.
I'm not 100% sure what the Shechina was. What's your take on it?
Oh, okay. Great question.
That's a very long subject, so
it's okay. We can try and I think because what?
There are people who have said that it's become different things over the years, over the generations, and nobody really has a beat on it.
The coolest.
Some people have said that Shekhinah and Hashem were the same thing, but they're separate. I've heard so many things.
Yes.
Should we go around the room? We're sharing the Shekhinah. Everyone can say what their perception of Shekhinah is. That would be like a meta Shekhinah. Because that's what it is. It's literally the perception of God in the world. And in a sense, it's also God's perception of himself through manifest reality. That's how I see it. But that's literally the Shekhinah is how we see it. That's as close as I think
beautiful
we can construct it.
Beautiful.
God perceiving himself or itself in manifest physical reality.
The
self-perception.
The Orach Chaim HaKadosh has a muscle of like windows. There's one sun, but the beams of light come in different ways through the windows, but they're all from the same source. Similar to what, like you're saying, different people's. But there's more. Do you want to actually do that? Do you want to say something?
Sure,
yeah.
Sure. I just what comes to mind is when we say the Shem Yichud Kudsha Brit Shchinte is I think through mitzvahs we connect Hashem and the Shekhinah, like the idea of the whole of the world's creation is to kind of to do a mitzvah with a physical object or with our physical bodies in this physical plane. We are basically doing the whole purpose of creation, and why Hashem did this whole Tzimtzum, like this whole creation of the world through all the different ways that it came down here. And then when we do a mitzvah, the Shekhinah and Hashem become one, and it's just like this moment where like the whole purpose of creation is fulfilled.
Okay.
I mean, I've heard a lot of things, but the thing that stuck with me was one time I asked somebody, some Rav, like, why do they say God is our father, then who is our mother? And they said something like how we need to see God as in sort of like the father figure that's like looking like supervising us sort of like from above, but that Shekhinah is a part of God that's here with us, guiding us sort of like the mother. So because God is everything, God is both the father and the mother. And so there's this sort of like dichotomy where part of him needs to be seen as the father and part of her needs to be seen as the mother. And beautiful.
Yeah, I
like that.
I like that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So much to say. This is amazing, babe.
Yeah.
You want to say?
To me, I just feel a feeling of warmth,
Mm.
have some unity among people.
Awesome. Yamin, want to go? Okay, no, yeah, go.
I was thinking that because Hashem does not have gender and we are forming in his Son of him, and he's our guide, then therefore he has to show us both the feminine and the masculine of, I guess, what we say, either human nature or godlike nature. And we need to be able to encompass both the feminine and the masculine in order to keep the balance of the world. And the Shekhinah is the feminine aspect of Hashem, and Hashem is the masculine aspect of Hashem. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Hashem is the creator of peace between nations, between people, each person, peace of mind.
Beautiful. Tell you, yeah, like. Elsa?
Yeah, I think the Shekhinah is a feminine aspect of Hashem. You know, I loved what you said about, it's like the mother here with us.
I mean, like I've heard a lot of different interpretations of the Shekhinah, but that's the one that stuck with me.
Yeah, I like it. Let's go with that.
Judy? No?
Oh my gosh, so it's such a beautiful answer.
Beautiful, right? Just enjoy this. With us.
Yeah. Wow. Like I don't know, but I can say my associations with the Shekhinah. One association is that when the Beis Hamikdash was built, the Shekhinah came and rested upon it. So it's like the Beis Hamikdash was like the home for the Shekhinah, which is like definitely plays on like that masculine and feminine, like the masculine of like the building and the structure and the feminine of the energy. And also another thing that I think about Shekhinah is that she never came back to the second Beis Hamikdash apparently, and that she's remained in Galus with everyone, because after the first Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, we went into Galus. So even though there was another Beis Hamikdash built, we didn't all live near there or go all the regal the same way. And also the Beis Hamikdash the second one didn't have the same magic. And that was probably because of the Shekhinah. So the Shekhinah is like associated with like Hashem's heart, the heart of the Beis Hamikdash, and that she follows us around in Galus. And whenever we do a mitzvah, that's when she appears, because every mitzvah is like a little Beis Hamikdash.
Oh, so beautiful. Amazing. Thank you for suggesting, Andy.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely shchinatic.
Shekhinah is here because whenever people
Ten.
learn Torah together,
That's
right.
Shekhinah dwells in them.
Isn't it 10 people?
Yes,
Wow.
Sarah and Bichlal, even one person, even yeah.
We just say it.
So the way the Zohar is speaking about it in terms of Aaron and Moshe is in terms of Tiferet and Malchut, which certain extent it corresponds to the name Yud Ke Vav Ke and the name Aleph Dalet Nun Yud. Today we pronounce Yud Ke Vav Ke as Aleph Dalet Yud, but really it's not. It's its own name. Haya Hoveh V'yeh. It's this name of the transcendence of Hashem. And one of my favorite short teachings of Rav Kook is he says, why is it that people fall asleep when the rabbi gives a Dvar Torah? He says because me too. He says it's because they're speaking from Tiferet. They're speaking from the theoretical ideals, the sort of, like we were saying, kind of a male systematic
Platonic archetypes.
yeah, something like that, like the abstract concepts. You're talking in the abstract. It's like like you try to go with it, but you lose the thread and you're gone. But when you tell a story, then you're speaking from Malchus, which is the place of the Shekhinah.
Oh.
Yes. And so why? Because it's life itself. It's a real something that happened. You don't have to follow abstractly with the left brain, etc., etc. It's your whole brain. You're in the experience. The word for story in Hebrew is a ma'aseh. It's an act. I think if they would measure your brain when you're listening to a story, they would see your brain experiencing the story. You experience the characters, the different things that you're in it, Whereas when you're hearing a lecture, a bunch of ideas, then it's a smaller part of your self that's in it. It's not as complete. And so was that?
Like the words sefer, sipur.
Yes. That there's the sipur and the sofer and the sefer. But let's so to hear this idea that Aaron, what is he telling us? Is there's one thing that Moshe teaches us how to be so holy, how to be in this transcendent place, and that's also really important. There are certain teachers that give you this deep Kabbalistic abstract download or whatever it is, or not Kabbalah, halachic, whatever, some deep sense of what's going on in the Torah. And then there's the people who help you to be there. Who help you to be there, who make room for you, and who want to hear your story and share their own story and make the whole thing human, right? And that's really important. This is Aaron. So these two leaders, Aaron, Moshe and Aaron, are both very important. They're both very important. And unfortunately, what gets missing usually is the Aaron side. If someone would get very, very, very upset about teachers, for some reason, they go into the profession of teaching and they don't love kids. It's like, what are you doing? It's so sad. The kids feel it. The teacher comes in and the kids are like, you don't like me. And they know. And it's like, how are the chances of any deep, education that happening? It isn't anyway.
So very much.
I do too.
Now, again, teachers need.
Teachers that shouldn't teach.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So like who better to transmit the Torah from
Also,
Yeshiva
the
and
people
Israel
that
and
you-
Moshe?
Right,
He loved this.
really loved, and ready to go on the line.
Yeah.
Right, both of them, and in their own way, right?
Yeah.
But he's speaking now here specifically in terms of chesed. He's speaking about this union of Aaron Cohen, of being ready to be there for the other person, levater on whatever was going on for them, because you really put people first. Malchus, the story, your life, your lived experience, right? In a certain way, that also it's brought down in Chabad Hasidus. The neshama is called chelik boreh shenasa nivra, a piece of the creator that became a creation. That's like the chelik elokai mimal, is this chelik boreh shenasa nivra. Amazing that there's and then my soul doesn't necessarily know that Shabbos is good for it. It'll decide, like what is Shabbos? Is this what I remember deep down? And that's why. So it's this, and again, it's totally one with Hashem. It's this very deep mystery. It's the sod, the Gemara, the Chazal always in the Zohar, they call it sod galut hashchina, because it's a deep secret, because there can't be like a brokenness within God. God is one, and yet there's this secret that Hashem is with us in exile. And that is literally our soul that is experiencing life and going through everything that it goes through, with all of the ups and the downs. And so the ability to be there for each other. Huge, right? So now he goes into Eliyahu Navi. And here, I don't know, maybe I prepared too much for this year, but let's see what happens. Eliyahu Navi is called the master of good news. Because we got Mashiach, that's about Eliyahu, who is the MC for Mashiach. All the great Kabbalists and great tzaddikim say, if you see your friend and he's sad and broken, tell him, Atani Retov, you look beautiful, your mom is shining. If you'll say it with your whole heart, it'll happen. You can lift him up. Then Eliyahu Navi, the master of good news, will tell you, you're one of mine. I'm with you. If you see your friend sad and broken, and you say to him, Oy, oh, you're so sad. What happened? Makara, you don't look good. As the Navi says, I'm not with you, you're not with mine. Right? Now, of course, Shlomo is not giving us an exact script. It means it all depends on how you say it and the way you say it and so on and so forth. And the exact words. The point is what you're saying going to make them stay stuck, or is what you're saying to help them to get unstuck? We say good words. It forces Eliyahu Navi to be with us. Only parents knew this. Instead of telling the kid, you're so annoying, which is a bad kid, so good and beautiful. And now this is something that we saw a few months ago. I have to read it again from the Moreh Naim. Remember this? We did this Eliyahu Navi from the Moreh Naim of Nachum Chernobyl. He just says such unbelievable Torah. I'm just going to translate straight from the Hebrew. This is Parshas Vayetze in the Moreh Naim. It's like the third or the fourth Torah in there. Vayetze Yaakov Beersheva. He says, sorry, what's the spot? 1 second. He says, Hine, Im Bala Adam Eze Besora Tova. If you ever hear good news, even if you're in the middle of learning, yeah, and you start to get a feeling that you're about to understand it before you actually understand it. You start to get that feeling. It's amazing. Some deeper part of your mind is already. It's as if you get somebody. It's as if there's like some faculty within you that's saying you're about to get it. It's so amazing. And that's called Eliyahu, says the Moranayim. That's called Eliyahu Navi. It's called Eliyahu Navi. And then you become filled with understanding. Because the truth is, anyone that ever comes and is the bearer of good news, a real spark of the Navi comes into that person, mamish. Because Eliyahu is the one bringing good news, and like we said, like Rashi said about the Goel Yisrael in the Shemona Esrei, there's lots of little geulas all the time. We've never been able to make it without them. And each one also has a announcement before, a good feeling right before it happens, right? An incredible thing. It goes all the way back to the 6 days of creation. This was the Zohar that we opened up, that the Zohar, the Tikkunei Zohar, the Hakdama to the Zohar says that when Hashem created birds, created wings, it says, the Zohar says very clearly, that was the spark of Eliyahu Navi.
Oh.
And the Navi swoops in, the faculty of swooping and flying in and being there right at the right second. If it's like to clobber you, or if it's to make a joke, or if it's to tell you good news, it was from the very beginning of time, mamish, that every bird, every pair of wings that you see, the reason why birds cheer us up is because the spiritual first creation of birds is the spark of Eliyahu Navi, says the Zohar. Mamish, incredible. So therefore, when you have good news to tell, you notice this, when you have good news to tell, suddenly like you become light and happy. You want to like run to tell the person. And you're like, hey, guess what? You don't even tell them right away. First you say, hey, guess what? Like when you just tell them, like, no, guess what? There's like this mamish geula, the energy comes in. Why does that happen? Because your neshama feels that you're going to be with you. And you get psyched and into the process of being mevaser hageula. Even if you don't really have a total sense of like Eliyahu Hanavi being with you, but your neshama, mazle chaza, the higher self sees it. That's where you got excited. And if you would have like full consciousness, then you'd be able to like grab that inspiration and change your whole life from it. To really go up to very high levels through being able to tell somebody good news. The simplest thing, right? Chaim. And see if there's much more in here. Is the deepest, best news. Is the last pasuk. Hine anochi sholech lechem navi lifnei bo yom Hashem beheshiv leiv avot abanim v'leiv banim al avotam. The deepest, greatest news is that your parents always loved you. Oh my gosh, right? And for the parents, that the kids always really knew that their parents always loved them. Nobody's going to bring that back. That is like anyway, we don't have time to get into that right now, but that is like the most deepest healing. And just to be able to hear that, like Aaron would do. What would Aaron do? We know that everybody probably heard this medrash. Aaron would go, when people were in a fight, they say, so-and-so really wants to make up with you. They're just waiting for you, and it wasn't true, right? And then you go to the other person and say, no, so-and-so just can't wait. They're waiting for you. And each one, because they would hear the good news that the other one wants them.
Yeah.
Wow. Gewalt. Now the thing is, like I heard, I forgot who I heard it from, but it's not an easy thing. What Aaron was able to do, not everybody can do. Like if you can go and tell someone, so-and-so really wants to make up with you, but you have to be like really caring and loving and really davening about it, because it doesn't, it's not like the technicality of what he did. It was the goodwill. It was the energy of what he was doing. right? It's the way he did. He melted the person's heart when he said it. Like if you go and say, you know, so and so wants to make up with you, and then they might say right back to you, yeah, well, I'll never go make up with them. But when Aaron would tell them, you know, they would feel like really, they really want, and it would awaken within them how much they want to make up with them. So we have to, it's another thing to daven about, to be able to, like those two jokers, they said, like either we're making jokes or we're bringing peace between people, similar kind of a thing. That ability to bring humor, like it's really not simple to make someone who's sad actually happy. It's mamish not simple. You really have to, you know, one of the most amazing things I noticed when I became a parent is that kids, like little kids, can go in a second from total crying to like, it's so amazing. They're not like, wait a minute, I have to stay true to my bad mood. You know, they don't have that thing that we get. You know, they're like oh, yeah, to their moods. You know, like you make some like noise that they never heard. Like, oh, wow, they go straight into it. And
I'm not bipolar.
Yeah, right. And it's not. It's just they're able to get out of where they were. And it gets harder and harder. What you can do by making a little googly eye at a baby, what you need to do to an adult to get them to stop crying. It takes a lot more resourcefulness. It's doable. You can really help someone turn a corner. But it's just, you've got to know the person well. You've got to really mean it. You've got to be outside of the box yourself to get them out of the box. It's in the box, etc., etc. It's the same idea that's what ties together the two things, that they said that they can make sad people happy, and they also make people who are in a fight make up, because if people are in a fight to make up also means you have to get outside the box of the fight, to see a bigger thing, to see more about the other person, more about themselves. So like it's the same kind of a thing as humor, that to now for something completely different kind of a thing, like to just like get out of it, kind of.
I'm thinking about Eliyahu.
Yeah.
His role is almost like his whole Marcos, his whole like essence is like you say, every time we talk about Eliyahu, we talk about his function of like declaring, announcing, like this mevaser, Carlebach, this was Torah, this was that. So that root Bez Sin Reish, like Basar, is that like related to like
this it is. What's the connection to that? Amazing question. Love the question.
It made me think of like that.
Yeah.
What's our connection to what?
So Bez Sin Reish is like the word, that's the root of like to announce, like Elijah like declares, announces, like, hey guys, like good things on the way, good tidings. Right? Besoros Tovos, and then also Basar is like flesh. It's like meat.
Okay.
So like wondering if there's any connection.
Connects them or something?
Yeah,
maybe
same three letters. The
body keeps the score.
Oh.
Like somehow like your body is communicating things.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's a pasuk in. Yeah, you got it. It's a pasuk in Eov. The way Eov said it was very sad, but all the Kabbalists understood what he said. From my flesh, I see God. That my body, on the one hand, the classic Kabbalistic understanding of that is that the best picture of the neshama, of the sfirot, is the body. The body is mamish, an incredibly complex, interlocking thing of energies that the physicality of which are a perfect representation of the spiritual. But even deeper than that is, like you're saying, this whole field that we're getting into now of somatic healing and being able to, there are feelings trapped in different parts of the body, and that the body can, so mi bisari echazeh Elokai, that from my flesh I see God, is also can be deeply understood that way, that the energy of Eliyahu, of the good news, not only the bad news, like the body keeps the score, it's holding some negativity in there, some trauma in there also, but also underneath that, it's also holding the baby the childlike curiosity. Yes, it underneath there is also your, like I heard from a very wise person, it's never too late to have a happy childhood. Never too late. Start now. Mom is amazing, right? That's so it's there. In the basar is the besora tova there.
Mashal Nipshal, this is Basar Navashal.
Nice. Mom is incredible. Okay, where are we holding? So you guys have questions for another, let's see, another couple, maybe 10-ish minutes. Dima Yehudit, Jewish tears, says Shlomo. Kshebatya, we're on next page 230. Kshebatya Baspara Raz as Moshe Rabbeinu boche betocha teva banilus. When she saw Moshe Rabbeinu crying in the like that little ark that he was in, he amra mialdei havriim, says from the children, from the Hebrew children is this one. And the Farshim asked, Hare Hayalomar Yelad Ivri Zeh. Should have been in the singular. This is like from the Hebrew children is this one. But this is a Hebrew child. Why did it say miyaldei? He says Tishmu Tirut Amok Yoter here deep chat. He says deep is chat. Kshabat Paro Atad Moshe Rabbeinu boche b'toch hateva. He shamashu lo boche rak b'shvil atzmo. She could hear that he wasn't crying only about him. El b'shvil kol hayeladim ha'ivriim. This is part of Batya's whole thing, that she heard the cries of Am Yisrael. She became Jewish before any of the plagues started, before anything. She was a princess, the super privileged person. And yet there was something about these people who had been made into slaves, and she knew there was a ruling against to kill all of the boy children. And she sees this one flame, and this is from them. And in his crying, she heard the crying of all.
Wow.
That's being able to hear, right? This is a powerful neshama batya. It's unbelievable. And thanks to that, and because of that, there was a geula. If she wouldn't have taken him out, then nothing would happen, right? The whole thing depended on it. Mamish, incredible. This, yeah, mamish. It's absolutely incredible.
So you're saying by empathizing with the Jewish children, she became Jewish?
Yeah, well, it was already, was already attracted to them. The Chazal says she was going to the Nilus to go to the mikvah. She was already trying to connect with Am Yisrael, and then and as she's about to do this major act, she sees Moshe Rabbeinu in the floating along, and she hears the crying, and she's like, right? It wasn't just only then that she heard the crying; she'd been hearing the crying, and then she raised him. Almost unbelievable. He says, my dearest friends, Charim Karim, Kol Kach Tov Haya Ilu Hayta Lanu Dima Achat B'toch Leibish V'Mishal Acher. If only we could really have a tear for someone else. Now us this year, Gewalt, there's a what's the term that they're using? Like trauma exhaustion. We have so many tears for others this year. Gewalt, it's like. I heard some term, I'd say it's fatigue, yeah. It's so hard. It's been such a crazy year. And yet, we need to remember that to stay open and stay caring and find the right balance between self-care and davening and activizing or whatever we think we can do to help.
That's right.
He says, Bonomar, let's say, Ribbon Shalom Imata Tzarich Od Dima Achat, K'dei Ligot Olam Hashem, if you need one more tear, Shetia Zu Hadima Shali, let it be mine.
Yes.
Who else? Yes. Yesh Adam, so again, this is the empathy, this is the pulling out of my system, of what I'm up to, being interruptible, compromising to be there for another, the Kiddush of Aaron HaKohen, the Shechina, Malchus, the story, life, space making, personal, making it human, right? That's where we're talking about chesed, being a small Mashiach, giving them the good news. It says, Lalechet b'darkei Hashem. This is called going in the ways of Hashem. With a mitzvah, v'halachta b'drachav, to walk in Hashem's ways. Yesh adam shosed b'tzon Hashem. There's be a person who does what Hashem wants. V'yesh adam sholech b'derech Hashem. There's another thing, right? V'halachta b'drachav. You can't put in a book what that means. You know, you can't say when the elevator opens, you pounce. You know, like halachta b'drachav is what does it mean to like really be one of us, walk in Hashem's ways? It's specifically a non-systematic aspect of, and yet it's as much a mitzvah as anything, as much a mitzvah as tefillin, as you know, but it just can't be systematized. It just can't be systematized. You could do Hashem's will. He says, "If shalasot v'tzon Hashem bimla'o." Every single thing in Shulchan Aruch, I did it. But on Hashem's way, I didn't go. On Hashem's way, I did Hashem's will perfect, but I missed it. For instance, a person walking on the street and he gives $1 to a poor person. If he feels in his heart, he feels I gave more than I am able to, more than I really want to. He did the right thing. He did Hashem. It's not called walking Hashem's way. Le'umat zot, adam shenoten dolar la'ani mikol alev, lo zi b'vad shu asad ratzon Hashem hu gam alach b'darko. Not just that you did Hashem's will, but you walked in Hashem's way. Just like Hashem gives, so I give. Mahu is baruch noten af ani noten. V'omer Maral HaKadosh, and the Maral says, HaMisnaged HaGadol B'Tel, the one who goes the most anti-God is not the person who's doing sin. Zula Varyanu Choter, Ela Kamtzan, the person who is stingy. Oh, wow. Ki Borei Olam Kol Kulo Netina V'Hashpara. That's Hashem's whole thing, is to be giving, always giving.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Giving. And then he connects us to the holidays. Okay, we'll do another few minutes. When you Nachman says, when you give tzedakah before the holidays, then that's going to open up the simcha of the holidays. Like we've been talking about, we get enclosed, just like the sad person gets enclosed in a stuck place. To really get to the simcha, the holidays are meant to mamish zeicher l'tzias mitzrayim, get us out, get us free. You got to give tzedakah before the holidays. And that doesn't always mean money. It could mean you're going and helping wash the floors, or whatever you do. Zachim lismach b'hem. Then you zoche through that to the real joy of the holiday. Because the holidays are called mikra'ei kodesh. They're calling out how holy Hashem is, how full the world is of Hashem. But if we're not becoming chesed people, then we don't hear what the holiday is saying. There is a creator and there is no nature, it's all God. Whoever zocha to hear that, merits to really have the joy of the holidays. To really hear them, we need to make our ears and our heart a little more refined. Only by hearing them and being there for them, because that gets me out of my stuck place, right? There's a whole Gemara in Baba Basra that used to have, people used to live, like they have them over here in the neighborhood, like these courtyards with houses all around them, and the courtyard would be enclosed, and there was like a person there that would sit like as sort of like a guard. They would have that. The Gemara talks about it, and it says you're not allowed to have that space too far away, so that when poor people come, the people who are in the houses can't hear that they're coming, right? It can't be too buffered away from the people who need you. The holidays are coming. If it's just not a holiday, it's not going to shine if we're not hearing and being there for others. Then you'll be zocha to hear mikra'ei kodesh, the calling out of holiness of the holidays. That Hashem rak Hashem sholeit bakol kol nisim vein teva klav az vaday smeichim ba'od moedim. I'm going to do one more little page, Ella. I've been going forever, but just one little bit more. Sternberg Mishpacha. Shamati mitzadike olam, says I've heard from the tzaddikim of the world, sheyesh shtei bechinot shel chesed, and really I'm pretty sure he's getting it from Torah 33 in the Likutei Moharan, which we won't read from now. Yesh chesed shel achrei briat olam. There's one type of chesed that is after the world is created. Yesh chesed shel lifnei briat olam. There's another type of chesed that's from before creation. Before creation. Says if I'm walking on the street and I suddenly bump into a poor person, the nebuch, it hurts me, and I give them tzedakah, great. But it's still called chesed of after creation. The person's in the world, I'm in the world, I have an extra $5, I give the $5. Laholid yeladim, but to have children, ze chesed shel lifnei briat olam. There's no one there to give to, right? And you create someone to give to. That's olam chesed yibaneh. Zaya chesed achi amiti. That's the deepest chesed. Ki lo haya af adam shevakesh mimenu. There's no one around to even say, please, can you be there for me? You created it. HaChesed she'achrei briat olam she'ach midas hadin. After the world is already shayach to judgment, that and Hashem saw that the world couldn't exist. When I walk in the street, I'm doing this also, I can tell you a story. There's an unbelievable story that I saw with my own eyes. I see a poor person, my first thought is, chutzpah, why is this person going on the street? Do I know Oved? Wasn't he working? Must be he's drunk. Maybe he's a drug addict. Become filled with rachmim, and I say to myself, Gewalt. So I bring in some rachamim and I say, okay, beseder, I'll give him something. That's not mamish, the realist chesed, the chesed from before creation. With zero judgment. Now the thing is that once again, this is like, on the one hand, you want to be enabling people, you know, they really are addicts, and you give them $5, they'll just, it's Aval. I want to tell you a story. This happened this past Purim. I was in Ramat Beit Shemesh, and most of you know how much I love Purim. I ever give a shir about Purim every week for the last 3 years.
You're like Captain Purim.
I'm Mamash.
You're like the Purim king.
Captain Purim. And so one of the things that I really love doing on Purim is davening like with the sunrise. Like I get up super early and I'm like out in the forest crying out to Hashem, and then I go to the shul and down with the sunrise. And Leibish sitting right next to me in the minyan, I couldn't believe it, was Rabbi Abraham, is that his first name? No, Rabbi Mordechai Machlis. You know who this is? A tzaddik, like this unbelievable person. The Machlis family, they opened their house like to 100 people every Shabbos for years and years and years. And you know, it was just amazing to daven next to him. And then I was speaking a bit, and as we're going out, you know, you can imagine it's Purim. Everyone's coming and asking, and he's like got like his plane like got so much money on him, and he's just like giving. I had like nothing left. And it was amazing. And every time someone came, he also gave me a coin to give the person. Every time. Mamish like 20 or 30 times, like a ridiculous amount of times for us to just walk out. It was ridiculous, the amount of. But then, so throughout the davening, there was some drunk guy outside screaming rap music right outside the shul. And it was disturbing. Like they had closed the windows and whatever. And we come outside, we turn the corner, and this guy's there. Now, this guy, okay, is like lying on the floor with like a speaker, and yeah. And I mean, at certain points he was lying, he stood up, whatever, and his music is booming, and he's rapping along with it. And my Machlis sees this guy. Now, I've never in my life seen anything like this. He sees this guy, and he goes and he looks at me, goes over there, he says, and he sees it was like a Thai worker. The guy was like no kippah, completely Thailandi looking person. On his name tag, it said Abraham. He said, Abraham, how are you? You have such a beautiful Jewish name. Tell me, where are you from? What are you doing? And the guy was like drunk out of his mind. And he was like, oh, I make rap. I make rap music. You want to hear my rap music? And Rabbi was like, yeah, can you play us some? Would you? Like, he was like, would you please sing for me? You know? And this guy puts on the beats and starts rapping with the most crude, the most unbelievably disgusting language. It was unbelievably inappropriate. And Rabbi Machlis, he's standing there and he's like dancing. He was dancing to it. I couldn't believe it. He's like, oh, what great songs you have, you know? And he's like, yeah, it's my own song. I made it up. It's my own. You want to hear another one? He's good. And it was like the grossest, most ridiculous stuff. And he's like, would you do me the honor of coming to my house for breakfast? Please, Abraham, would you come please to my house for breakfast? And he's like, no, I don't eat, Rabbi, I don't want any food. And he says, but wait, I see your bottle of wine is almost empty. I have wine at my house. Oh, Rabbi, you got wine. All right, I come to it's like this, and he's like walking over, like slumping thing, the music, and Mamis were walking towards his car. And then Rabbi Machlis remembers as he's getting into the car, he's like, oh, actually, we drank all of our wine last night, but it's okay. We're going to go to the store right now. Come with me, and we're going to buy some wine so that you can give you some wine at breakfast. Mamish, this is, right?
Yeah,
I was like,
Yeah.
you know, there's one thing I know for sure. Rabbi Machlis was not enabling this guy. Rabbi Machlis was blowing this guy's mind. That somebody, a respectable person, a regular, you know, was dancing to his music, listening to it, was wanting to make sure he had a square meal, was offering whatever he wanted. You want wine? I'll get you wine. Forget food. I'll just get you a bottle of wine. I don't even have it in my house. We'll go buy wine for you. Not everybody, it's like, I'm saying this because, you know, if I would just give him a bottle of wine, it could well be enabling. But when you're living like that, when you're living with the Bidas HaChesed, and I'm not the first to say that the Machlis home is like Abraham and Sarah's home, and you know, Henny Zatzal, this love that is mamish chanilo shofet klal.
Yeah.
Zero judgments.
Yeah.
But it's not enabling. It's mamish loving. Wow. Ken Yerotzen should be Zaycha tell a little bit of that. Oh, we can finish the piece. Yes, chatanim shemistachlim al kala im chesed sha'achrei. So then if someone takes it to marriage, and this week I just mentioned my wife and I was celebrating 20 years. Well, that's pretty crazy. It's mom's insane. Oh Hashem, 20 years survived. No, just kidding. It's incredible. He says, there's some chatanim, they look at their bride with a love that's after creation. He asks, who are you, mi'at? What are you, ma'at? Kama kesef yesh la'avi? How much money does your father have? Eifo habank shelach? Where's your bank? Kominei dvarim. Remember, did you grow up with the Little Prince? Remember that? How tall is he? How much money does Baron make? Bachurim lefamim sometimes they say Shema ulay ata makir mikayit im kesef. Sometimes, right, Bachurims would come to Shlomo and say, "Do you know any American women that have money?" You know, they say, "Zeh kesef shachrei biraton." This money is after creation. Ani me'achel shekadosh baruch hu yikayem otanu ba'olam chesed yibaneh. Should give us mamish to live in this place of olam chesed yibaneh. Bli sheilot bli kushiyot. No questions, no judgments. Gemara merit ein bodkim min hamizbeach lamala. I forgot to open this Gemara, but there's I think it's about bedikas chametz on the mizbeach and further in. You don't look for chametz, but spiritually, klamar imadam uchana krivet atzmo laman Hashem yisbarach. If somebody's really like a machlis, ready to just give everything, mamis, give themselves up to Hashem. Lo sholim oto b'shamayim im yesh lo tazchut o lo. They don't ask him in Shemayim if he has the schus for it or not. Oh, somebody coming to visit me. Is he right? Is somebody in the okay? Okay, one second. I'm sorry. I'm gonna just answer because I told him 2:45. Sonny, hey, are you here? You can come in. The door's open. Just come in. The shear went on a little extra. This okay. Gemara met ein bodkim min hamizbeach ulamala means if a person shalom. Shear went a little later than usual. He says if a person is ready to put themselves on the mizbeach laman Hashem yisbarach lo sholim atov b'shamayim im yeshu tazchut zeh o lo. They don't ask in heaven, does he deserve? Does he not deserve? It's not like it gets past. Are you enabling? Are you not enabling? It's when you're up on that mizbech, it's just beyond. Kol yodi shetiru, every Jew you see, al tivdeku, don't check. HaKadosh Baruch Hu yitain lanu bli livdok otanu, and that way Hashem will give to us without checking us. Right? Right. This is Hashem. Right? Random acts of kindness. It's Hashem.
Wow, such nuggets. Thank you.
Hashem, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you guys.
Grateful to have the Torah.
Yom Tov, Shavuot Tov.
Shavuot Tov.